The message arrived on a day like any other. You were tending the sky gardens atop the Capitol spire. The air was clean, the sun was warm. Humanity had enjoyed 3 centuries of this quiet age, a long, unbroken peace that felt permanent. The chime from your wristcom was soft. It was a sound you had not heard in your lifetime. It was a Priority 1 summons, an order, not a request. You stood before the High Council chamber doors. They were carved from moon oak, a relic from a time before star travel. The doors felt heavy with history. Your own history was simple. You were an archivist, a keeper of records, not a person who gets called for emergencies. The doors slid open with a whisper. Inside, the faces of the council were grim. Their usual calm was gone, replaced by an anxiety that chilled the room. Chancellor Eva Thorne stood to greet you. Her expression was like stone. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said. Her voice was steady but lacked its usual warmth. "We have received a message from the Elder Ones." The name hung in the air, a ghost from a forgotten story, a species not seen in 100 years. They were legends, myths used to scare children into behaving. Apparently, the myths were real, and they wanted to talk. The council needed you to prepare. They needed you to understand the past, not the polished history taught in schools, but the real history, the one sealed away for the good of all people. They led you down a spiral lift, deeper into the planet's crust than you had ever been, down to a vault with a single crimson door, the Crimson Archive. Its existence was a state secret, guarded by protocols you never knew existed. The Chancellor placed her hand on the door. "What you are about to see is a heavy burden," she warned. "It is the foundation of our long peace, and it is a truth we hope to never face again." The door hissed open. It revealed a room that was not a room. It was a biological chamber, pulsing with a soft red light. In the center, suspended in a clear gel, was the treaty. But it was not paper. It was not a data crystal. It was something living. It looked like a scroll of ancient parchment. But as you moved closer, you saw the fine network of veins, the slow, rhythmic pulse of a heart you could not see. "The Treaty of Eternal Stewardship," the Chancellor whispered. It was not signed. It was grown. You reached out a hand instinctively. The air grew thick and heavy. A low hum resonated from the artifact. It was a warning, a biosignature you felt in your bones. This was technology beyond human understanding. You were given access to the archive's data stream, a direct neural link to the living document. The Chancellor warned you it would be disorienting. That was an understatement. Information flooded your mind, not as words or images, but as feelings, as memories that were not your own. You saw the end of the Great Expansion, human ships burning in silent space, fleets shattered by an unseen, unstoppable force. The Elder Ones, or as they called themselves, the Star Shapers. The truth unspooled in your consciousness, a torrent of genetic data. The treaty was not just a living object in a vault. It was a template, a master key, and its code had been written into every human being. For 300 years, every man, woman, and child was a living copy of the treaty, an agreement for peace etched into the very core of our DNA. You felt a wave of nausea. Your own body was a foreign document. Your skin, a cage. This alien code was the price of our survival. The Star Shapers had seen humanity's rapid expansion, our aggression, our chaotic nature. They deemed us a threat to cosmic balance, a plague that needed to be contained or cleansed. The treaty was their merciful solution, a set of genetic locks, suppressing the traits they feared, our adaptability, our aggression, our fierce, unpredictable spark. It was the cost of not being erased from the stars. We were allowed to live, but only as a shadow of what we were meant to be. Our potential was chained, our destiny stolen. Then, the sky went dark, not the gentle dark of twilight. This was a sudden, chilling eclipse, an unnatural void that swallowed the sun. The star shapers had arrived. Their ships did not enter orbit. They simply appeared, vast, silent monoliths of black stone. They hung in the sky like gods of judgment. All across the planet, systems flickered. Communications went dead. The air grew cold, charged with a power that froze the soul. The quiet age was officially over. It was a nice thought while it lasted. You were chosen to meet their ambassador, an honor that felt more like a death sentence. You were taken to the Grand Plaza. The open square was empty, deserted. Everyone was indoors, watching the silent ships above. A single beam of light descended. It did not carry a ship. It carried a single figure, tall and impossibly thin. Its form shifted like smoke, held within a suit of pearlescent armor. It had no face you could recognize, only a smooth, blank surface that seemed to absorb all light. The ambassador of the Star Shapers did not speak. It communicated directly into your mind. Its thoughts were cold, precise, devoid of any emotion. You are the living contract, a copy of the agreement. It looked at you not as a person, but as a document, a flawed page it needed to inspect. You felt its consciousness brush against your own. A brief, invasive scan that left you feeling violated, exposed. It was searching the code within you, checking the integrity of its ancient work. Its mental voice returned, sharper this time. The skin is beginning to fray. The message was chillingly clear. The genetic chains they had placed upon humanity were failing. After 3 centuries, our own biology was fighting back, adapting, overcoming the alien code. The very spark they had tried to extinguish was reigniting. What they saw as a bug, a flaw in their design, was our nature reasserting itself. We were breaking our own chains, and they had returned to fix their program. The Shaper ambassador extended a thin, 3-jointed hand. An image formed in your mind. A complex helix of new code. Brighter, stronger, more restrictive than before. The pact must be renewed. Your species requires an update. It was an ultimatum, not an offer. Humanity could submit to a new genetic rewrite, a complete overhaul of our being, one that would permanently extinguish our true nature. Or we could refuse, and be classified as a failed project, a broken contract to be voided. The alternative to new chains was war, a war we could not possibly win. At least, that's what they thought. You returned to the High Council. The weight of the ultimatum pressed down on you. Surrender our very soul or face extinction. It seemed like an impossible choice. But Chancellor Thorne's expression was not one of fear. It was something else. A grim resolve, a hidden fire. For 100 years, they thought we were idle, she said. They thought we were simply tending our gardens. They were wrong. She led you to another chamber, one even deeper than the Crimson Archive. Inside was not a relic of the past. It was the future. A vast chamber humming with human innovation. Scientists and soldiers moved with quiet purpose. On a central platform, a man stood. His eyes glowed with a faint, golden light. "We have not been idle prisoners," Thorne explained. "We have been studying our cage, learning its locks. For a century, humanity's greatest minds had secretly worked. They had deciphered the Shaper's genetic code. They knew how it worked, and they were learning how to control it. We had forged a hidden blade. The Chancellor looked at you. Her gaze was steady. "The Shapers see you as a document," she said. "We see you as a messenger, the first of a new kind." The man with the golden eyes stepped forward. He placed a hand on your shoulder. A wave of energy flowed into you. Not cold and alien like the Shaper's touch, but warm, controlled, human. Your own inner code resonated. It answered a call you never knew you could hear. "You will deliver our reply," Thorne said. "You will carry humanity's defiance." You stood once more in the Grand Plaza. The silent Shaper ambassador waited. It expected an answer of submission, a plea for mercy. You gave it neither. You held its gaze, the blank, emotionless face of a cosmic warden. Then, you let the power inside you awaken, the golden light that now lived in your cells. You reached out, not with your hand, but with your will. You reached into the genetic code that bound you, the chains they had forced upon your ancestors. The chains did not break. They bent. They reshaped. The golden light erupted from your body, not as an explosion, but as a controlled wave of pure energy. The air around you shimmered. The stone flags of the plaza buckled. You were turning their prison into a weapon, their chains into a sword. You showed the ambassador what we had learned. We could now control the code. We could suppress it. We could amplify it. We could even, you demonstrated with a terrifying surge of will, project it. The power they used to cage us was now ours to command. For the first time, the Shaper's perfect stillness was broken. It recoiled, a barely perceptible flinch. But it was there. Its mental voice was gone. The link was silent. For a long, tense moment, the ambassador simply stood there. You could feel its silent calculation, the cold, alien logic processing this new reality. Its threat of war was based on our weakness, our helplessness. That assumption was now void. War was still an option. But for the first time in 3 centuries, it was a choice that held risk. For them, the ambassador finally broke the silence. Its mental voice was different now, stripped of its arrogance, tinged with something new. Respect. "The old contract is broken," it projected. "A new one must be written." The black monoliths in the sky did not vanish, but their oppressive presence lessened. The chilling cold receded. You had not won a war. You had prevented one. You had shown them that humanity was no longer a project to be managed. We were a people to be negotiated with. Equals. The old treaty was a thing of the past, a relic of fear, preserved in a crimson vault, a memory written in our very skin. Now, a new pact would be formed, not in the depths of a planet, but in the open, among the stars. A treaty not of suppression, but of mutual understanding. A treaty written not in our code, but in starlight. The quiet age was over, but humanity's future, for the first time in centuries, was finally, truly, our own to write.